call to order this May 12th meeting of the Blair Mayor and City Council. We're being serenaded up here in the front. I love it. I'm Mindy Rump, the Mayor of Blair, and I'm pleased that you have joined us this evening. This is a public meeting and you are part of the process. I encourage you to participate, ask questions, and share your thoughts, and I will do everything that I can to make sure that your voice is heard. We do have several rules to help us proceed with the meeting, and I ask that you please keep them in mind. Please turn off your cell phones. If you need to take a call, step outside the chamber. When you wish to speak, simply raise your hand and I will acknowledge you and you can come forward to the podium. Brenda Wheeler, our city clerk, must record who you are, so please state your name, spell your last name, and state your address. Keep your remarks brief, about 3 minutes, so others have the opportunity to speak. Please direct your remarks to either myself, to City Council, or to City staff. A copy of the Open Meetings Act has been posted by both exits, and we will begin this evening with the roll call of members.
Banner?
Present.
Paulson?
Here.
Long?
Here.
Wolf?
Here.
Willis?
Here.
Clark? Fletcher?
Yep.
Heifel?
Here.
All members present except Clark.
Thank you. If you please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item number 4, approval of the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes. Item number 5, we will be having the swearing in and badge pinning of new Blair Police Officer Ryan Gentry.
Mayor, Council, Chief Kinsey, this is Ryan Gentry, one of our newest officers. Just a little bit about him. He's as soon as he starts talking, you'll know he's not from here. He is from Alabama, but he is by way of the Air Force, and that's right, good old Air Force veteran there, right? Yeah, right, guys? There we go. And he spent the last about 4 years with the Sarpy County Sheriff's Office and made a lateral move over here. He represents our 21st sworn officer. We have, well, I'm not going to say we have one more to fill because we've already made a conditional offer to our 22nd, which would make us fully staffed. Way ahead of our goal.
Nice.
Way ahead of our goal. Ryan's got some great experience. He's brought his wife and children here tonight for the swearing in, so if unless any of you have any questions, let's do this.
Do it.
Okay. Come on up with him. Stand right next to your dad. Stand right there. All right, raise your right hand, Ryan. I state your name.
Ryan Gentry.
Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Nebraska
and the Constitution of the State of Nebraska
and the ordinances of the City of Blair
and the ordinance of the City of Blair
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
and perform faithfully and impartially
and perform faithfully and impartially
the duties of police officer
the duties of a police officer
according to law and to the best of my ability,
according to law and to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Yeah, go ahead and stand right here in the middle here. So long-standing tradition in law enforcement is that when we swear in a new officer, we have the officer's loved ones pin his badge, and that's what his wife, Emmy, right?
Yes.
Is going to do. Pin his badge for a ceremonial there. So go ahead.
Straight.
Now's your chance to just jam it in there. Welcome to the family, Ryan. One more thing. Pastor Amy has a couple quick remarks and a gift for you. If you just hang tight 1 second.
Yeah, I'm one of our chaplains, and I'd like to present you with a coin.
Thank you.
And at the front of it, there's a Bible verse from Psalm 3:3. You, O Lord, are a shield around me. And there's our chaplain logo with the shield and the cross and the blue line. And then on the is the patron saint of law enforcement, and there are two petitions there on the sides that are part of the prayer to Saint Michael. Defend us in battle and be our protection. So on behalf of myself and the other chaplain, may the Lord be a shield around you, and may the Lord defend you in battle and be your protection. Amen. We're happy for you.
All right, you're dismissed.
Congratulations on the attention.
Congratulations, welcome.
Hamilton, Northwest Alabama.
Welcome.
Well, thank you.
We'll be taught.
Congratulations, Officer Gentry. Item number 6, consider resolution 2026-49, approving the mayoral appointment of lateral police officer Jackson Radloff to the Blair Police Department. Chief Kinsey.
Forgot I had back-to-back here. Yes, Jackson Radloff is been offered a conditional offer. He's passed everything and civil service commissioned an eligibility list. We've given him a conditional offer, and he will be coming back to Blair PD. So he was, as you may recall, he's been worked here for a little bit, went to the sheriff's office, and he's heard just the wonderful, great things that's happening over at Blair PD in the city of Blair, and we're just going to keep riding that train. So he's met all the qualifications, and we're confident that he'll be a great re-addition to our team.
Very good, thank you.
Is that 22 then?
He makes 22.
Awesome.
No, I'm sorry. Actually, he is, I'm sorry. Ryan is 20, he's 21. A lateral officer from Yankton, South Dakota, who will be on a future council meeting doing an appointment. A 4-year officer from Yankton.
We're close.
Yeah, close.
Thank you.
That's outstanding.
I'll introduce resolution number 2026-49.
Resolution number 2026-49 was introduced by Councilmember Willis, approving the mayoral appointment of lateral police officer Jackson Radloff to the Blair Police Department.
Make a motion to adopt resolution number 2026-49 as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 2026-49. Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes. Item number 7, payment presentation by Mary Berg on behalf of the Library Foundation for payment of the amphitheater in Generations Park. Mr. Green.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Phil Green, City Administrator. Unfortunately, Mary is not able to be here tonight and does not have payment ready for us yet. If you recall, 2 weeks ago, I gave you a copy of the letter that she had sent to us. In that letter, she had stated that she was hoping payment was going to be received by them within the next 14 days. Today's day 15, and they haven't quite received it yet. So I do have a text that Mary sent to me this afternoon that I'd like to go ahead and read to you. Just simply says, payment to the city will be coming soon in the form of 2 checks from the foundation. The foundation will use endowment funds of $243,331 and a few cents. And the remaining $590,515 will be coming from funds currently invested that we have asked for. The mutual funds were sold, and we're waiting for them to be deposited, which I'm told should be later this week. We would then write the city a check the very next day. Funds from the endowment were previously requested, but we'd received what she calls their accessibility funds. I requested now the endowment funds, but haven't received those yet. I had not planned to coming tonight because I hadn't received the payments, had not scheduled anything, not knowing exactly when the funds would be ready. I'll let you know when the $590,000 is available, but again, should be later this week. And we'll be checking on the foundation funds as well. Have any questions, give me a call. So unfortunately, not quite ready yet, but hopefully next time. So I just ask you to go ahead and table this again, or postpone to the next meeting, sorry.
Okay. Someone like to make that a motion?
Motion to postpone.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to postpone. Please register your vote.
All members present voting aye.
Item number 8, request to appear before the mayor and city council by Jenny Erickson on behalf of the Friends of the Jeanette Hunt Animal Shelter to present an update on the shelter. Good evening.
Hello, do you need me to say my name? Spelling all
Yes.
that stuff?
Yes, I'm sorry.
As tall as him. Okay, Jenny Erickson, Ericksen, address 13429 Spring Ridge Loop.
Thank you.
Oh, you're back there, I was like, where are you? Okay, thank you for having us. We always look forward to coming in front of you and talking about the animal shelter. It's been an adventurous year, I would say. We've had a lot of great things. We've had a few challenges along the way. Somehow we managed to go viral on the internet. We did not plan for that. But it's been a good year. I want to take a minute. A lot of times I get up here and talk and you see my face. That's just because everybody else hates talking. But I do not do this alone. There are some really amazing people, and the majority of them are here. First, we have Rachel. Stand up. You're going to kill me. I know it, but it's okay. This is our shelter manager. By definition, she works a standard 40-hour work week. In reality, she works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, giving herself to this community. Tyler, you're going to kill me too. Tyler, stand up. This is her husband. He works right beside her half the time. When they're out at night, when they're going and trapping animals, when things come in late, when the police department calls, Tyler is always right there with her. He's also helping us in the shelter, fixing things and taking care of things. So, round of applause for these two, please. Sorry, guys. Next to them, we have Jamie Frostrom, who is our secretary, keeps us organized, does a lot of things with the paperwork, with our grant writing and so forth. She's been doing a lot of studying and going to school, learning more about grant writing. So she's picked up a few things along the way and does a great job. And then the one that really runs the show and keeps all of us in order, Cheryl Stevens. Cheryl is our treasurer. Without her, we would not have the data we have, the numbers we have, the finances in order that we have. She gets a lot of the stuff together for me to stand up and talk to all of the entities we talk to. So thank you to all of these guys for everything they do behind the scenes. Okay, now for our update. Some of our highlights are the same as last year. I was trying to find things to change, and this first slide didn't change a lot. We still have our same directors. We've had some other people we've added, some volunteer capacities, some leadership capacity, but our board of directors remains consistent. We also have Kyle Cruz, who is our vice president, and Kyle does a lot with getting things done around the shelter for us. We each bring diversified experiences. I always say if I had to do what Cheryl did, I wouldn't survive, and Cheryl says the same about me. Same for Jamie, same for Rachel. We actively manage the business operations as the board. We let Rachel and her staff manage the animals. They're experts at that. We manage the business of it and try to keep this a functioning business and keep things going smoothly. Our focus is still pretty much the same. We want to provide a safe shelter to the animals in need, meet all of the needs, socialize them, train them, and then find permanent homes for them. Our goal is to get them all into a permanent home as quick as possible, but that means making sure it's the right home and making sure they're well adjusted and able to go into an adopted environment. We've also done a lot of adding lately with supporting our local youth groups and organizations. I consistently, the past 2 or 3 years, have been saying the shelter is becoming a sense of a place in our community. A lot of organizations, a lot of youth try to do things around the shelter, and we're trying to build up the volunteer network to continue to support that. Some of our trends are similar to last year. We're still seeing a lot of animals dumped, and I'll go through some of those stray numbers in a minute. Denied surrender dump, stray dump, you can't say that fast 3 times, is a very common word at the shelter. That means somebody calls in and says, hey, can you take my dog? I'm in Omaha and NHS isn't accepting any. We say, no, you're not in Washington County. 2 hours later, we get a call, there's a roaming dog, exact same description out by the airport. We get a lot of dogs that way that are dumped. In the years we've had random dumps, one time there was a bunch of little wiener dogs dumped out in the country. That was all over the internet. They were running around everywhere. We were like, what is going on? But we try to do the best we can when animals get dumped, get them into safety and get them taken care of. We've seen a lot of lost pets. Blair, Fort Calhoun, out in the country, everywhere we see a lot of lost pets. We've become much more experienced in trapping animals and educated ourselves in trying to do that. We also have a great relationship with Lost Pets of Omaha. They come in and bring in their thermal imaging drones. The sheriff department has helped us with drones, and so we do everything we can to get those pets secured. Seen a lot of neglect cases, less abuse cases this year, more neglect, animals coming in near starved to death, injured, things like that. We've done a lot more with our business community. We have people coming out wanting to do community service hours for their employees. We have a lot of organizations wanting to volunteer, and so we try to find ways to keep engaged with them. The biggest trend we've struggled with financially is our minimum wage increase. That's something I was here 3 years ago talking about. We knew that would significantly impact us, and it definitely has. We continue to hope that NHS will open up their spay-neuter clinic. For those of you that weren't here when it shut down, we used to pay $40 to $45 per animal for a spay-neuter. Now we pay $200 to $400 per animal. And when we're running 600 animals a year, you can do that math. It's a significant difference. NHS used to allow us to bring down 10 animals at a time. Rachel would load them all up in the van. It'd be one trip down. If it was cats, you can't take that many dogs in the van. But you load them all up, take them down, you drop them off, they do the surgery, you come back later in the day, pick them up, and take them all home. Now it's multiple trips to multiple veterinarians around Blair, Omaha, Arlington, Bennington, and each of those costs $200 to $400 per spay-neuter. So we've got a great relationship with Blair PD. We've built up a great relationship this last year with the Sheriff's Department, so we're extremely grateful for everything those guys and gals do for us. A trend is still our Washington County supervisors are not willing to work with us, don't want to hear the conversations we're having. I try not to say negative things, but we would encourage everyone who can to reach out to their representative and let them know that they need to contribute to the shelter. And we'll go through some of those numbers as well. And then we've also run into a few legal cases that create expense issues. Right now, those legal cases, whether they're county or city, are falling on the animal shelter to absorb the expense on. And that's something we would love to see change, where whether that's a budget through the city, the county, we don't know how that works, but we would like to see some of those. When you get an animal, we had one dog that was stuck in limbo because the individual arrested would not relinquish rights, so we don't own it. We can't put it down. We can't transfer it. We're just holding it. We held that one for a full year, and it was a very aggressive animal. It was hard for us to manage. Normally those animals, they would come to a point where if we can't safely handle it, we have to have the euthanasia conversation. We also have a partner rescue that we transfer those animals out to that has experienced staff to handle behavior issues. But when it's in legal limbo, we can't do anything with it. We just have to continue to hold it. So that creates some expense problems. Lost pets. If anybody's on Facebook, you see a lot of these. Last year, we had 135 dogs that were strays brought in and 235 cats. Of those 135 dogs, we reunited 108 of them. Of those 235 cats, I should say guess how many we reunited. 27. Cats don't get reunited too often. They're usually strays. They usually aren't lost. They are homeless. So that's how we get so many cats. But we've seen a lot of stray animals come in. We've also seen some animals pretty neglected. I'm not down at the shelter every day. Okay, Erin, did you tell me the top one? Oh, yep. This right here is Rose. I just happened to be there the day her owner came in. He had just gotten out of jail, and I'm not sure where she was in the time he was there. She was in horrible condition. She had things hanging out of her back end. She couldn't stand up. She couldn't use her legs. She was horribly abused. And this is where Rose was a few months later and was adopted into a great home. That's a true testament to our staff and what they do. You see some animals come in like this, barely able to stand, near starved. We've seen a lot of those coming in. And a lot of those sometimes are just unkind people, and sometimes are people who don't have the financial resources to care for the animal. So our staff works with all of them, whatever it is. One thing we have done is we've really started using our foster program more. We are trying to keep people with their pets And we have one animal in this program right now. It's somebody who lost their housing, and we will take the animal for 60 days. We will not charge boarding for it. At the end of 60 days, they have to pay for any medical, if it had to be vaccinated, things like that. And then they have 30 days to pay it back. So they have a 90-day window to get their finances in order, get housing, and then hopefully they can keep their animals with them. Our goal is to keep animals in people's homes. We also have a food pantry. We've been hosting every other month or so, but it's also at any time people now know they can come. We feed a lot of animals, and that comes from donations we get from Dollar General. We get a lot of pallets of food from Dollar General, if it's dropped, tipped, unwrapped, anything. Kyle picks up pallets regularly. We keep that food in one place, and we give it out to people trying to keep those animals in their homes so they don't have to surrender them to us. We still get a lot of challenging breeds, a lot of fun breeds. I've shown some of these before. If you look at this little guy right here, cute as a bug, until he gets to be 165 pounds and you don't know what's going on. Rachel does a really good job at making sure we put the right breed in the right hands. We had an animal that was surrendered. It was a bite case here in Blair. 80-something-year-old woman adopted a massive untrained pit bull in Omaha. Nothing against the pit bull, it was more the massive untrained animal situation, and it was a very dangerous situation. So we make sure we don't ever put those dogs into environments where they can't be properly handled. We are in kitten season now. It's just getting fired up. What that means to staff is animals don't always come in by the 1, they start coming in by the 10. We try right now as hard as we can to keep all of our kitten litters out of the shelter. Every kitten season, we will get at least one respiratory virus. We're not set up with separate ventilation systems like NHS is in some of the bigger shelters. So if we get an airborne virus, it hits everyone. And those are the days where our staff are fighting animal after animal to keep them alive. They'll lose over a dozen animals in a few days, in a short window sometimes. They're pretty tough days. So we try to keep all the kittens in foster homes, and we've built up a nice foster network. I put Rose up there twice just because I can't believe how great she looks. Sometimes they come in like this, 4 dogs out in the country. Not sure where they came from, what they were doing. Usually they're dumped. But you prefer dogs to come in by the 1. This one here, somebody dropped this off in the ice freezing cold, left it just on the front step of the shelter to freeze. We just happened to see it on our cameras and sent someone down to go pick him up in the middle of the night. So Rachel does a good job watching those. Critters, I put this on here in case everyone here wants to tell at least 2 people they know. We do not want your birds, rabbits, or baby squirrels. We are not set up to take them. They all need to go to the Nebraska Wildlife Rehab. We get a lot of calls and emails asking to take baby rabbits, and we tell people put them back, put some netting over them, see if mama's coming back. But either way, we're not the place to take them. So lizards, guinea pigs, we have partner rescues for all of these types of things that we send out. We don't keep any of these. I think we did adopt this guy out pretty quick. Okay, here's our numbers. I'm not going to go through all of this just to keep it moving, but you can see 2025 is over here. We took in 276 dogs last year, 406 cats. We sent out the same. Now these these numbers include what's left in shelter at the end of the year, or what we started with. But what that shows you is last year we had, if I can do the math, 600 and, I don't have my glasses, 682 animals total, if you count what we started the year with. So for a small shelter, it's quite a few animals we are sending through our doors. Now, as you can see, a lot of those are strays. Those are our strays. We have this broken out by where the animals are coming from. I think this is important to note because years ago. That's where Cheryl and Rachel have been working really hard to try to get the data. We felt you need to have some data before you can just go start asking for money. We now have that data. I have another slide that breaks it down a little bit further into what percent each city has with inside their city limits as well. So you can see here in Blair, in the city limits, we are bringing in last year 175 dogs and 196 cats. Questions on that slide? Kind of going through it fast, okay. If you follow our Facebook page, you will know our staff and our volunteers are very busy. We have worked really hard to remain that sense of place. That was one of our board of directors' goals for our shelter, to be an active place in a community where people can come to, where people can volunteer at. We also, on our Facebook page, try to engage with people. People love posting things about their animals. It brings a smile to people's faces, so we really try to bring that to the community. We did pictures with Santa. We get a great turnout every year. Some people just bring their kids. Some people bring their pets. We love to see everything. We love working with the city of Blair on Tannenbaum. These go up all the time on our Facebook page. We put them on all the Blair social media sites, just saying, if you need pet food, call us. We always have pet food. We want people to keep their pets in their homes. El Vallarta, we did a taco night with them. Here's our trunk or treat. We have a donor who sponsors half-off animal adoptions every December for us. That's something we've continued to do, and we really make a push to get all these animals in their homes for the holidays. National Dress Up Your Pet Day. It's this, once again, just trying to create goodwill. We did a Sensi fundraiser. This was me just pulling a few off. If I would have went through our Facebook page in the past year, we probably would have had 50 different things on here to show you guys. So it's really trying to just stay engaged. Here's some things with our kids, with the church. We had a young group come in and make some signs and things for our cat cages. Over here we took out to First Lutheran Church, to all of the kids, some kittens that they could pet. This is Arbor Park students loading up some things. They brought things. They chose the animal shelter as their fundraiser. So we really have seen a lot with these kids, and we love engaging with them. We really limit what they can do in shelter, but we encourage them to read to the dogs. They sit down. You'll walk into our dog room. It's full of dogs barking, and you'll hear 5 little voices reading books, and it's dead quiet, and the dogs come sit right up against the fence next to them and sit there and listen to them read. We let them play with cats. We let them decorate, things like that. This was our Halloween event. A few different pictures of that up there. Cheryl always makes amazing baked goods and does a great table. And the Public Health Department has started engaging with us this year, and we've been excited about that. And I don't have a police department photo on here, but they always come out and are a big part of that event with us. Here's some of our Santa photos. Just wanted to show that. We kind of do a walkthrough on the shelter. We try to keep people moving. There's different stations where kids can pick up snacks and goodies, and those are all things we get donated as well. We've done some different things. Our volunteers have set it up. We're going into Nature Dog in Omaha. We realize Blair can only take so many dogs and cats, so we are trying to now work in some of the pet stores in Omaha to highlight our animals and get them more exposure to get adopted there. Done some things on KETV here with highlighting some of our dogs. And then after we had a very unpleasant, I think I said enough cuss words on the internet thing, so we'll say unpleasant person, we chose to do a fundraiser live through videos, and some of council members helped us with that with videos, so we appreciate that. That's probably the route we'll go next year as well. We won't invite him back. This is just some of the fun stuff the shelter does to engage people. We always have an office cat. It's whoever's most social, well-behaved. They get promoted to the office cat, and we try to get them adopted out. And then we did an elf on the shelf thing, kind of just to have some fun with some of the animals. Our volunteers are a huge part of what keeps us going. First thing we have here is our professional volunteers. We have 2 different photographers that come in and take all these photos for us. They are professional photographers. I mean, if you look at that, that looks like a painting more than an actual picture. They do a really good job. This is what I wanted to show. Kelly. Kelly Schroeder is our volunteer coordinator. She is at the shelter in a volunteer capacity 30 to 40 hours a week every week. If you look at these numbers, this is one of the ways we are managing costs from a business perspective. We had 5,580 in-shelter volunteer hours last year. That's an average of 107 hours a week. Some of those are groups we're helping. It might be ACN or some of these groups that come in and have special needs individuals wanting socialization and responsibility, but a lot of that is our dog walkers, people doing dishes, socializing cats, cleaning kennels, doing lawn care, anything we can think of to make it so our staff are truly just tending to animals. We try to get everything else handled in a volunteer capacity, and she is amazing she has full staff training, education for them, things like that, orientation. Here's some of our community partners. We do a lot of work with both Phone and Blair Small Animal here. Good Samaritan Pet Hospital and Bennington Animal Hospital. Those are our four main ones. We also use a lot of other ones. Piggy's Paradise, if you bring us a rodent, it's going to go to Piggy's Paradise the very next day. It will be a snack in our shelter. Nebraska Wildlife Rehab, we send everything there. And then Roscoe's Rescue. People call us if they see pigs, and we have no idea what to do. So we call Roscoe's, and they handle all of those. These are all organizations who've done different fundraisers. Percent of their profits go to us for the night. Some of the organizations that we help, you can see all those, I won't read through each one, but we do a lot trying to accommodate when students and individuals and adults need to come in and do community service. We've kept our same hours. We're still closed on Mondays. We try to use those days for medical transport. We do not open until noon every other day. That allows us to tend to the animals, get medical appointments in the morning, and not have to staff as much, and then people can start coming in at noon. Skipped one. What we're looking at is we put all of the areas up there we're trying to get funding from. One of the things, and I have talked to the mayor about this, so I know this is coming, is the walking trail. We still have a lot of our dog walkers who, a majority of them are retired seniors walking in the street. We have no sidewalks down there, and it's on a curve. It's a dangerous situation that we would love to see sidewalks get put in. We also are right now looking to expand our driveway. If you've been in there, it's like the running joke. I hit the curb every time trying to back out. It's very small. By the time we have staff in there, we usually only have one, maybe two parking stalls left. We're trying to secure grants for that, so that's not something we have to finance out of our operational expenses. I talked about legal cases. We want to get some corporate sponsors for a few different things. And our long-term goals, this is not on our budget right now, but we would like to figure out how to separate our intakes so we don't bring in a sick animal and spread it to the rest of our animals, and also to have a couple separately ventilated cat spaces so we don't lose so many animals when we get a respiratory virus. This is a slide I showed everyone back in 2024. We talked about the minimum wage increase. At that time, I had said it's going to be a problem for the shelter. We don't have the funding to continue. We anticipated it would be, that's really hard to see, but about a $40,000 increase over those years, and it has been pretty close to that. Because wages went from $9 to, where are we at today, 15? $15 an hour, and our staff get paid minimum wage. So it has directly impacted the shelter and our finances. Last year was the first time we technically had a negative financial report, but we had some additional funding we didn't spend from tornado donations that kept us positive. This now is the second year in a row that our expenses, this one, the net number was negative. The shelter has a cushion. That cushion is just over $50,000. This year we took $3,000 out of that. So what that tells me from a business perspective is we are not operating at a sustainable rate. And right now we're getting over half of our income from donations. So if anything were to happen in the economy, in the market, and we're truly relying on donations, we know that would be a problem. We also know we're relying on 100 hours a week of volunteer capacity plus Kelly. So there's a lot of things we're not charging for. I'm not going to go through all these. We talked about a lot of them, what our cost control measures are. We're watching it very closely. We do keep 2 staff members on site at all times. That is a safety thing. If you are working with animals, large animals, you need to have at least 2 there in case something happens. And even cats. Sometimes lately we've had some cats go crazy on us. And then I put there what our expenses are. Minimum wage increase, our legal cases, our intake numbers are up. We've had some bite cases. Some of our bite cases from here in town, we've had some in the country, we've had some from the Dana Village apartments, some of those things that can get costly for us. And then illness and Community needs, we had the fire here in town this year. They show as an expense, but we always raise the money for it. We took 2 animals that were displaced and had severe respiratory burns inside. They were respiratory failure. We raised all of the money needed to send them to a special vet down in Omaha to be put in an oxygen chamber and be allowed to recover. So it's a significant expense, but in order to do that, we do an online fundraiser and we raise the money first. And so those were covered, and it allowed those families who had already lost their homes to not lose their cats as well. Here's where we are for finances. Our total income last year was $326,000. That does include what we call restricted money. We have a grant out there that we cannot use for operational expenses. It has to go to a shed build out that we're working on design for. And then our total expenses were $300,000. So when you take out the restricted funds, you can see where we are. Of that, our wages are at $147,000, so they're about half of our budget right now. We do account for Dollar General in here. We have $40,000 in in-kind donations from Dollar General. Every single thing that comes in, this is where Cheryl has set up amazing systems. We track it, we put a dollar value to it. We know how much money is coming in terms of donations, and then we give that back out. When we're giving that to our food pantry, to other things, if we have adoption bags for a special event, we'll take some of those donated items. Every single thing gets tracked in terms of a cost. Questions on that? This is a slide that I think the city would find beneficial in terms of what are the number of animals coming from Blair inside Blair city limits. Total city animals is 371 last year. Total county is 67 in Blair. So we went through and did this in each area to know how much. When I went to Fort Calhoun, they're like, that's great. We're happy to pay for what our animals in our city. We're not happy to pay for the county's animals if the county's not willing to contribute. I said, you guys sound like the Blair City Council. And I get that wholeheartedly. So we are starting to break it out even further now, and you guys will have this chart you can go back and look at, and you can see we do still have some animals outside Washington County. We always will. If you look right here, we took in 20 dogs, 30 dogs last year. Some of these, there was a guy moving to Europe. Nobody would take his 2 dogs. He loved these dogs. He got assigned a new job. He said, I will give you $2,000 if you take my dogs. We said, give us your dogs, please. We took his dogs. They were adopted within 2 weeks. They were wonderful dogs. If somebody shows up with cute little fuzzy puppies, give us your puppies. We can sell those. I hate to say sell, but we can adopt those out for $300-400 a piece. If we see animals that present opportunity for income, we will always take them, especially if we know we can move them quickly. So we have done some things like that. We've also traded some dogs. We had an unruly dog we didn't have the staff to manage, to handle appropriately. We traded that dog for a couple puppies with a partner rescue. We do things like that that make sense. So there'll always be some of those over there. Okay, nobody have a heart attack on me. I know this number's big, but what we are asking each city is we said, what is your total percent of animals inside your city limits? We did that for each city. We know from our cost, each animal costs about $400, I have it written somewhere, $480. So what we said is if each person were to pay for their own share of their animals, what would their total be? And this is what all those totals are. Fort Calhoun has agreed to $10,000 to cover theirs. These conversations are coming up next. I'm asking for $5,000 apiece. Herman, we're going to ask to do on a per animal basis. In the past few years, this is the same slide here, we've been asking the city for an increase in money. And we have been appreciative. We have gotten some, but it has always been less than what we're asking for. And we keep saying we're going to run into a problem. I think we're at that point of saying we're not operating in a sustainable fashion right now. So we either have to significantly change the route this shelter is going. I don't foresee us growing a whole lot more. Our big cost increase has been wages. But we have to significantly change what the shelter is doing, or we have to get more money from each entity. My concern is we're operating on a lot of donations right now, and if those dry up at any point in time, this shelter could all of a sudden be $50,000 short and not have the money to pay payroll. And that's where I don't want to see us get to. So we're asking council to increase significantly. If you look at how we got so far behind, 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22, there were no raises. That's because the shelter was a mess. They had no numbers. 23, it went up $9,000. 24, it went up 10,000. 25, it stayed the same. And 26, it went up 20,000. So what we're doing now is we're just saying, will everyone pay their share, or at least the vast majority of their share? If that were to happen for the city of Blair, that's the number it's at. Questions?
Jenny, why do you think there's such pushback from the Washington County supervisors? I'm sure you've shown them these numbers. I mean, says a lot.
Okay, this is my PC answer. They won't even listen to us. I went to a presentation, and the entire time I spoke, the individual with the clicker, I don't get the clicker there, was going to the next slide before I was even halfway done with the slide. Then I set up a meeting with the finance committee. They were late. Then they showed up, and they said, you have 10 minutes, we have another meeting, and by the way, we don't have any money, so this is a waste of time. At that point, then, we spoke with city staff back in the fall, and city staff had stated they were going to take over in working with the county and getting something done through legal measures if possible. I don't think anything has been sorted with the county at this point. We can go back to the county again. We can keep doing it, but they won't even listen. They won't. It's not even like, yay, this is good info. They were like, quit talking. So. I have stated that at some point, we may need to tell them then we're not going to take all of your animals. But I don't want to do that because a lot of animals then are going to be stuck out in the county. Right now, we know of a situation in the county where there's, how many cats? 80? A gentleman bought a piece of property that has 80 cats on it. These cats are multiplying daily. That was pre-kitten season. In about a month, that's probably going to be 150 cats. We're not touching it. We can't touch it. We don't have the resources to touch it. We've been getting calls from some people in Omaha who know about this, and they're like, you have to go handle it. We've made the county aware of some of these things, but they just don't want to have the conversation.
Have you looked into like Washington County Gives or anything like that where they can do a
So Washington,
lot at least?
they give us, we do get money. So Washington County Gives is another grant, I believe, Cheryl and Rachel, keep me honest, that does not give money for operational. A lot of the grants don't give money for operational expenses. So they won't give money for spay neuter, for vaccinations, because that's an operational. It has to be for a project. Cargill's that way. There's a lot of organizations that do great job at giving funding, but you can't use it for operational needs. Am I right on that? Yeah. And so those types of things, we've applied for grants and been denied and said, come up with a different reason, and then we get the grant. So. Yeah, so the hope is we can start putting some pressure on the county and we can get them to do their share as well. Their share up there would be $76,000. So I can go back to them again and ask, and I probably will again this year just to continue doing it. I'll have conversation with city staff before I do that, because our last conversation was to not proceed on our end and let the city handle it. So if you have ideas, I'm here for them.
Maybe the new sheriff will make a difference.
Maybe. I'm here for that too. Okay.
Joking. Scratch that from the record.
Okay. So we always say thank you. We appreciate the city. Chief Kinsey, thank you. We appreciate the police department, the sheriff's department. We've got a lot of help. We love our community. We love all these animals we get. Every one of these things comes up here has a story, like right here. Rachel was standing out front and someone threw a box of puppies at her. They didn't speak English, she didn't speak Spanish, and all she knew was all of a sudden she was walking outside and had a box of puppies. What do you do? So that was 6 of our out-of-county puppies right there. We just assumed they were from out of county. But we appreciate it. We love what we do. There's a lot of volunteers that put a lot of time. I know that number I put up there is big, but we really are hopeful we can keep this shelter as a sense of place. We can scale it way back. We don't include a lot of costs by all the extras we do because it is all volunteers. But we like having it be a sense of place for our retired individuals, our community service folks, and our youth, and we want to keep it going. Last year, when I got done, one of you asked me, what does the shelter need right now? And I wasn't prepared to answer it. So this year I came prepared. Going into kitten season, the amount of things you go through on repeat are crazy. Cat litter, trash bags, dry kitten food, cleaning supplies. Anyone who wants to learn how to train bottle kittens, they get fed every 2 hours, 24 hours around the clock. And TLC for staff. So for anyone in this room or over here, if you ever see a post about something happening, a bad day at the shelter, if someone sends them a thank you card, drops off a 6-pack of bubblers, is that not alcohol? A lot of people are like, what? Bubblers, the caffeine drinks. A few Scooters drinks, a few Danishes, the littlest thing to these individuals who are down there having animals die on them, dealing with the things they deal with. Sometimes Rachel will send me a text and someone dropped off a cookie cake or 2 boxes of Little Debbie treats, and they are beside themselves, just knowing their community's behind them. And so I always say some TLC for the staff goes a really long ways. So thank you. And any questions any of you guys or gals have?
Thank you for putting the numbers together by location.
Yeah,
We've been asking for that, so that helps a lot.
it does. That's a Cheryl thing and a Rachel thing.
Thank you, Cheryl.
I just stand here and present it. They're amazing at putting it together. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jenny. Lots of eye-opening information. And thank you to everyone who works down at the shelter. I really appreciate what you do for our furry friends. Item number 9, resolution number 2026-50, approving the assessment settlement with Erickson Investment Company and final payoff Southern Hills subdivision assessments. Mr. Green.
Thank you, Mayor. And just very briefly on that previous item, really appreciate the presentation and appreciate the numbers early. So those will be incorporated into the budget and the budget workshop, and obviously you'll have an opportunity then to kind of really chew into those particular numbers. And she's right, she's mentioned, and we've mentioned to you several times before, staff wanting to try to do some research on what we've done in the past, what kind of arrangements we may still technically have with the county board, and we'll work hard to get those done before we have the budget workshop at the end of June. So thank you. On this particular one, this is a settlement agreement with Erickson Investment Company. The printed agenda says construction company. Technically, it's investment company, and the resolution itself was updated. And Brenda, I did change the word in there a couple times. So when you go to read your motion, if you choose to proceed with this, it is correct in there. So this is with Erickson Investment Company. Again, this was one of the subdivisions that was put in through the assessment district model. And so ultimately, it was the city that had hired a contractor, had the public infrastructure, which is water, sanitary sewer, paving, and then storm sewer that's associated with the paving, all installed. And then those costs are divided out amongst the number of lots that are there, and then those dollar amounts are all assessed to those individual lots. This was a 15-year assessment. Again, one of the things we had talked about with the Housing Advisory Committee would be to potentially extend those out to 20 years. It keeps the annual payoff a little bit lower, but this was done for a 15-year period. A few of the payments were made going back 3 years ago when I was first hired. One of the first things we had to do was hire a new city treasurer. The one that we brought in at that point in time was unfamiliar with our software. You recall that there were several assessment mailings that had not proceeded properly, and so there were some previous kind of settlements that were made with 2 other development areas. These had been paid for a couple years, so then they began to have some questions. Staff, being relatively new and trying to work with the software, did not do a good job of getting back to Erickson Investment Company with some of that information. Eventually, they made a full payment that had some delinquent interest that had been accumulated in it. Their concern was that shouldn't have been there if we would have been responding in an appropriate manner with some of the information in those previous agreements that were done with the other two developments. Also ended up waiving some of that delinquent interest. And then finally, last fall, they ended up with some extra available income, and so we're looking to pay off these assessments in totality. So the first part of September of 2025, they began to reach out to us. Again, staff did not respond efficiently and on time to get information back to them. That stretched out actually to the very end of 2025, and their request to go ahead and get these things paid off. And so what we finally worked through with all the numbers, hashing back and forth at times on which interest rates or what interest amounts were appropriate and which ones needed to be reevaluated, we came up with these numbers as of September 30th, 2025. So technically in our software, interest has been accumulating since then, but this would be a payoff as of that date. And then we would work with paying off the bonds that the city had originally taken. If you look at the attachment, Exhibit A that's in your packet, it kind of lays out all the individual lots that have not previously been paid off, what the total payoffs would be for them, both on the principal side as well as interest that would accumulate through 2025 as of September 30th. There's a few other minor adjustments in there as well. One of the weird things about the software that we're using, and again, this is still a module from the old software. BSNA does have an assessment module, but it's really not set up for the way Nebraska normally handles things, so we're currently still using the Simple City assessment module. For some reason, as an example, on the third section that deals with all of the paving, all of the dollar amounts were exactly the same for all of the lots. 4 of the lots were slightly less in interest charge than all the other lots were, which makes no sense at all. You look at all the numbers, they're exactly the same, and so we went ahead and credited them for the minor difference between all of those, which was a total of $89.18. So you can see on the last page of that particular handout how all the subtotals were taken, grand total adjustments that were made, credits that were given to them, including the delinquent interest, and we ended up with a total dollar amount then due of $692,113.79. And it's my understanding that Erickson Investment Company is prepared to pay that off if this settlement is agreed to tonight. So any questions? Thank you.
Any comments from the public?
Brenda, do you want my name again?
No, I'm good.
Okay. I just want to make it clear on this because I don't want it to go down in the record thinking we're being given money. The first money that was in 2024 was delinquent interest we already paid that we're asking to be refunded. We spent 4 months emailing and not getting responses, and so I didn't feel it was appropriate that we're paying delinquent interest when we're not getting responses to emails. So, and then in this year, same thing. I don't want anyone to think that we're asking for anything for free. We've been trying to pay this off since September, and again, we're sending multiple emails every 2 weeks for 4 months and not getting responses. And so we weren't able to pay it off because we weren't getting any communication back. So what I'm asking for is that delinquent interest I paid to be removed. I didn't feel we should have to pay it. And then I'm asking for all interest after when I said, can I please pay this off a dozen times, that be removed as well. So I just want to make sure we're not presenting that we're just asking for something to be given to us. So that's all.
Ms. Erickson, when you pay that off, can you bring it in on those big giant checks?
Maybe.
handed over to the mayor?
Maybe. That all?
That's-
That's a good question.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public? Having none, Judiciary Committee.
Yeah, we met on this a couple times now, and Phil has gone over all the numbers, and, you know, I think we need to trust that they're okay. Jenny's okay with them now? Yes? Okay. And so, yes, so if there's not any other questions, I'd like to introduce resolution number 2026-050.
Resolution number 2026-50 was introduced by Councilmember Highfield, approving the assessment settlement with Erickson Investment Company and final payoff
is presented.
Second.
We have a motion, and a second, to adopt resolution number 2026-50. Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes. Item number 10, consider resolution 2026-51, approving the painting of curb extensions at intersections along Washington Street in preparation for pedestrian safety during Gateway to the West days. And is Mr. Loftus here this evening?
He is out of town.
Oh,
Substitute.
okay,
I can shout.
okay.
Good evening, I'm Angie Schroeder, Schroder. I live here in Blair at 10364 County Road 29. Helping out for Jake Loftus, who is unable to attend today as he's traveling out of state. I'm with Strong Towns, and what we would like to do, 2 years ago, we did a curb extension project, temporary with tempera paint. It lasted a few days. Well, one color washed away the very next day because it rained. But our idea is to kind of beautify the curb extensions on the two prominent areas during the parade route, and in addition to talk about public safety and crosswalks and things like that. So it's a twofold. So artwork and as well as talking about crosswalk and curb extensions for traffic. Any questions?
My question was, when are you doing? Are you doing it the day of the?
We'd probably do it Wednesday, or like Tuesday or Wednesday before everything starts, before all the festivities that weekend. Hopefully it doesn't rain, so it lasts a few days. And then potentially, if this is, we'll do a little bit more data research, because last time we kind of polled the public, we got a bunch of information from people who wanted to know what areas in town are in need of increased safety, and so we're hoping to do something similar like that again. But we'll see, and then eventually we can do something like this permanent with your guys' help.
Will you use tempera again or
Yeah.
more?
We'll just do tempera paint, just to kind of show some artistic flair and things like that. But we'll, like I said, maybe at the most, maybe a week or two it will last.
Are you guys gonna post up on 16th and Washington like you did a couple years ago?
Yeah, we'd like to, especially right in front of the parade route, right in front of where all the carnival things is. We'd like to do a little more of a patriotic theme on that one, and then down by the art alley, maybe just a little bit more fun artwork that the art students can do. But, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Any comments from the public? Having none, council.
I'll introduce resolution 2026-51.
Resolution number 2026-51 was introduced by Councilmember Letcher, approving the painting of curb extensions at intersections along Washington Street in preparation for pedestrian safety during Gateway to the West days.
Motion to adopt resolution 2026-51 is presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 2026-51. Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes. Item number 11, consider ordinance 2615, approving a pay increase for City Administrator Phil Green and an addendum to his contract in regard to vacation accrual. Mr.
So-
Scott?
So probably don't run the street sweeper after they do the,
No,
probably correct.
correct.
Okay, again, I'm David Scott, SCOTT, address 1011 North 23rd Avenue, Blair, Nebraska. I'm Deputy City Administrator for Operations. Why am I here? Well, Ben can't be, so your HR person is not here to give you the explanation, so I will do that in his place. Aside from the 2% salary increase in this ordinance, which is, I think, pretty straightforward, I'm here to explain Exhibit A in place of, again, Ben from HR. The employee agreement governing hiring of Phil Green to be the City of Blair City Administrator was approved by the Mayor and Council on April 11th, 2023 through Resolution 2023-09. The agreement states in Section 3B that after a performance review, Mr. Green will receive a salary increase of up to 4%. The mayor has conducted a performance evaluation with Mr. Green and recommended it through Ordinance 2615 that Mr. Green receive a 2% salary increase. Mr. Green also requested an addendum to the employment agreement Exhibit A, which increases maximum vacation accrual from the current 480 hours to 600 hours. Just to go over this a little bit, this is to honor the original intent of 480 vacation hours dedicated to what would be in the place of severance pay for Mr. Green, and allow that Mr. Green also be allowed to accrue additional vacation up to the amount of an additional 120 hours. Like any other city employee, he would earn these. They would not be front-loaded at all. I do believe originally in the contract in 2023, those were front-loaded. These would not be. Essentially, Phil would accrue 120 hours if he takes the vacation, like he should. It would come back to the 48 hours at any given point. If not, then he would go below the 480 hours, which was originally intended to be in the place. And I should state the state of Nebraska doesn't allow for severance pays in agreements, and so that was why in 2023 the then council, maybe some of you still today, agreed to do the 480 front-loaded vacation hours, so it could give him something, a little something in severance pay, whereas that generally is not something that would be done in the state of Nebraska. So anyway, is there any questions? That's what's on the ordinance before you, ordinance number 2615, and its accompanying Exhibit A. Sorry, I kind of bounced around on my notes a little bit there. But.
Questions for Mr. Scott? All right, thank you.
Okay. Yep.
Any comments from the public?
Jennifer Reslick, Reyzlik, 141 East Baronage Drive in Blair. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Thank you for your service. And you clarified some other things, so I'm going to read this anyway, but you clarified some other things. So I have a few questions regarding the pay increase and addendum to the employee agreement. Mostly I'm just looking for clarity and transparency. I have reached out to 3 of you, got some answers, but now I'm just speaking on behalf of some residents in Blair. After a nationwide search, Mr. Green was hired on April 11th, 2023, with an annual wage of $99,731. November of 2023, the City Council approved a 4% pay increase in conjunction with a 6-month performance review. This 4% was in addition to the annual increase that all city employees receive. At that same time, at the November 28th, 2023 meeting, Council approved an addendum to Green's contract for a monetary allowance for his cell phone and vehicle reimbursement. Here we are tonight, 2.5 years later. The council has a resolution to approve another pay increase and addendum. Per the ordinance, the mayor recommends that City Administrator Green shall receive a 2% performance-based salary increase, which is in addition to the annual salary increase of 4% previously approved for all Blair employees. So it is my understanding that he will receive a total 6% increase. Per the City of Blair SharePoint website, Green's current salary is $163,571. So the 2% increase breaks down to $3,271. When you take the 4% plus the mayor's recommended 2%, that is a $9,814 increase in pay. Many residents are just curious about what tasks above and beyond his job duties are typically outlined in a performance review. What has Green accomplished for such a large pay increase of $9,800? I am more curious if this pay is comparable to other city administrators in other comparable towns. I've looked at other towns and the salaries of their city administrators, and I'm just curious like what array was used when making that determination. Another question many would like clarification to is the current addendum request from Green to his contract, which addresses vacation leave accumulations. For Section 5, the city will provide a one-time credit of sufficient additional hours to Green's vacation bank to bring the total balance to 480 hours, which is 12 weeks, 60 days vacation. As you pointed out, so in my research, I learned that Green was initially given 480 vacation hours upon hiring in 2023. I don't know how many hours of vacation he's used to decrease from 480, but according to this request, the city would grant Green how much more bonus vacation time to hit that 480 hours again. Citing page 28 of the City of Blair Personnel Manual, it addresses the breakdown of years of service compared to maximum amount of vacation. So a regular full-time employee with 3 years of service accrues 96 hours of vacation per year, which is 12 days. They can get a total maximum accrual of 144 hours. In comparison, an employee with 30-plus years of service only receives 200 hours of vacation, 25 days, and can only accrue up to 300 hours. Page 29 goes on to highlight specific positions, such as the city administrator, that they will receive 160 hours, 20 days, of vacation per year for the first 14 years of service. Green's request for a one-time credit to 480 hours with a maximum accrual of 600 hours with only 3 years of service is an extremely bold request to some. If the council approves this, some Blair residents feel that you are being extremely generous to one person. I would be curious what the total compensation package is valued at for Mr. Green. Also with this addendum, you are now talking about him being able to accrue up to 600 hours of vacation leave, which is 15 weeks, almost shy of 4 months of vacation. If approved, you're creating a savings account for Mr. Green. This will be paid out at some time in some form at a later date, whether it's paid out monetarily at a higher rate of pay or in leave, which he could retire and then not have to show up for work for 4 months if the mayor approves. Either way, the city is affected. Many question, isn't the 480 hours sufficient? Why is the request to bump up to 600 hours needed? Overall, I just request that you ask questions and evaluate if this is fair when compared to other city administrators in towns comparable to Blair, again referring to the array. More importantly, is this fair when compared to other City of Blair employees who work very hard and have been here for decades? Yes, you voted that all city employees will receive their 4% increase, but will they get that additional 2% increase as well as a big bump in the free vacation hours? Phil has been here for 3 years and would like to accrue up to 600 hours. Yet several other employees have been here 30, almost 40 years, and they can only accrue up to 300 hours. Mr. Green is one city employee. He is hoping that you will honor the request to dole out money and vacation incentives. I, along with many other Blair residents and city workers, request that you don't forget about the other city employees, the approximately 106 per your organizational chart, who make our water clean and safe, who keep our parks maintained, remove the snow, clean up after the storms, patrol and protect our citizens, run the library, etc., etc. These employees are dedicated and hardworking too, and are needed to make our city function daily. Please do not dismiss how valuable everyone is in the big picture that works for the city of Blair. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, do you have questions?
Ms. Resnick, you said that some of your answers were questions have been answered. So which ones do you still have regarding?
I was more curious about
Please come to the podium. That way everyone on camera can hear too. Thank you.
I was just more curious, is the requested salary in comparison to other towns comparable to Blair? Is his salary comparable? And if so, what array was used? If you could, thank you.
Thank you. The 2% increase that I suggested is not in addition to a 4%. Is that correct? Correct, yes. It's just 2, and that is to be applied after budget, correct, to an increase in the fall.
That 2% would be as soon as you approve it.
Okay, but it's not in addition to a 4%.
2%
So that won't total as 6%.
It's not 6. So we talked about this in the Judiciary Committee. I do not agree with, I agree with the 2% merit. That's 2% merit, that's based on the, Mr. Green's supervisor, who happens to be the mayor, and it's based on what she thinks the performance of it is. So that's what the merit is, and 2% is what the mayor decided, and we've agreed to go with that. We don't agree with the 2026 addendum of increasing the hours to 600 allowed to accumulate up to 600. When Mr. Green was hired, it was negotiated 480 hours for some reasons, and we don't think it's fair or correct to renegotiate, after a few years into the process. So as a committee, sorry, Mr. Banner, I'm speaking for you, even though you weren't able to attend, we don't think that part of this should go forward.
Okay,
I mean, initially, somebody will need to introduce the ordinance and have it on the, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, looking at the proposed ordinance, though, it does state that City Administrator Phil Green shall receive a 2% performance-based salary increase in addition to the annual salary increase previously approved for all Blair employees. So it is in addition to I'm looking at it right here. That was an attachment to this.
Right, but we still have to approve a salary increase.
Well, that's in reference to last October.
Correct, so.
It was
there
the
wouldn't
cost
be-
of living
it would
that
not be
everybody
6
got.
now, it'd be 2 now.
Right, and even if it were, that 4 is was applicable to all city
Correct,
employees.
cost of living all the way
Yeah,
across.
I wasn't trying to imply that he was especially getting,
No, correct.
okay.
Okay, good point, thank you. Yeah, somebody will need to probably, someone will need to introduce the ordinance in order for somebody else to then make a amendment to the ordinance. Am I
To
stating this
remove
right,
the
Brenda?
addendum? Okay, all right.
I'll introduce ordinance 2615.
An ordinance to amend the pay of Philip Green, City Administrator, for a performance pay increase, repealing all ordinance, parts, and ordinance conflict herewith, providing when this ordinance should be full force in effect and published in pamphlet form.
Do we
Yeah, make a motion to remove the addendum
Yeah, yes.
Do I need
and
to
vote on that and then go back
And then you can do your reading and approval. Yep, correct.
To the addendum.
to remove the addendum? Make a motion to,
I move we remove the addendum, 2026 addendum to employee contract Philip Green. There's another number here, I don't know what that is. It's
Second.
green 1 for some reason.
Oh, yeah.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to remove the addendum from ordinance 2615. Please register your vote.
Do I have to go to the board for this one?
yes.
Members present voting aye. Paulson, Long, Wolf, Willis, Letcher, Highfill. Council members Banner voting nay.
Okay, that motion passes then. So now do we do the statutory rule?
Yep, now you, yep, yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
I move the statutory rule regarding reading on 3 different days be suspended for consideration of said ordinance.
Second. Question.
The question before the council is, shall the statutory rule requiring reading on 3 different days be suspended? Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye. An ordinance to amend the pay of Philip Green, City Administrator, for a performance pay increase, repealing all ordinance, parts, and ordinance conflict herewith, providing this ordinance should be full force and effect and published in pamphlet form.
I move final passage of ordinance 2615.
Second. Question.
The question before the council now is, shall the ordinance number 2615 be passed and adopted? Please register your vote.
And that motion will go in as amended. Council members present voting aye. Highfill, Letcher, Long, Paulson, Wolf, Willis. Councilmember Banner voting nay.
I declare ordinance number 2615 duly adopted as amended. Item number 12, consider resolution 2026-52 approving a professional services agreement with Short Elliott Hendrickson, Inc. for completion of a comprehensive safety action plan under the Safe Streets for All grant program. Mr. Eaton.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So yeah, before you right now is a contract with SEH to do our Safe Streets for All plan. I believe the council remembers a couple meetings ago, we selected SEH out of a group of 4 proposals to do our Safe Streets for All plan. The city, just over a year ago, received a grant for $200,000 to do what is considered a comprehensive safety action plan, which is kind of a first step in the overall Safe Streets for All program. This plan will hopefully set us up for implementation grants in the future. The plan will kind of work like a comp plan, but it will focus more on transportation safety, pedestrian safety, bike trails from, at grade crossings to elevated crossings over highways, anything, kind of all of the above. Our grant was for $200,000, and SCH fee is $199,585. With the grant, $160,000 is covered through the grant. We have a $40,000 match. So just shy of $40,000 then would be the city's share for this plan. If approved, they'll get started within the next 30 to 45 days, and should have the plan wrapped up within a year. And then we'll be able to take that, like I said, and hopefully apply for additional grants in the future. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any comments from the public? Having none, Transportation Committee.
Yeah, we did meet on this. We talked about this a couple of councils ago where we selected SEH. Grants paying for most of this. So if there's no questions, I'll introduce resolution 2026-52.
Resolution number 2026-52 was introduced by Councilmember Letcher, approving a professional services agreement with Short Elliott Hendrickson, SEH, for completion of a comprehensive safety action plan under the Safe Streets for All grant program.
Motion to adopt resolution 2026-52 as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 2026-52. Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes. Item number 13, resolution number 2026-53, approving the plans and specifications for the 2026 mill and overlay project and authorizing staff to solicit bids. Mr. Heaton.
Thank you, Mayor. So before you right now is a request to allow staff to go out for bids for the mill and overlay. We have about $300,000 left in this current fiscal year's budget for street repairs. If you remember last year, we did 66 heights with the UBAS product, which is a much thinner application. This would be a traditional 2-inch mill and overlay. Lowell's here tonight if you have any specific questions on the blocks that we've listed here, but these are all based on his recommendations from what he's seeing in the field, driving around town, taking a look at things. I did not make a map just because we're kind of scattered all over town this year, but these are kind of the 20 blocks that are in the worst shape. I'm planning on putting this out in a package A and a package B, just based on the feedback we've gotten from some of the contractors. We've kind of run this by to see what the prices are going. We may be able to get more blocks in than what's on here. So if that comes back better, we can add. If it's not, then we want to stay right about that $300,000 price range. One thing that we will focus on is the Grant Street crossing. Lowell and Mark were able to work with Union Pacific Railroad. I know a lot of people in town have gone over that crossing on Grant Street, and it's terrible. Union Pacific tells us that they have plans to come in and fix that, but asked that when they do that, if we could at the same time do the mill and overlay about 25 feet each side of that to rebuild that approach. That way, hopefully everything will be smooth sailing. So, any questions for me? Otherwise, we'll get this posted out and ready to get bids back.
I see package B, that's what, if there's extra left over?
Yeah, this kind of, I just wanted to do it that way just in case it was higher than we thought. We could have the option to maybe back off a little bit. I didn't want to, commit ourselves to doing the whole thing and then our prices come back and we got to throw out the whole thing. So that's kind of why we separated it as an A and B.
I was just curious on the Adam Street from 10th to 13th. I was gonna mention tonight, I think 14th Street to like 15th is on the
worse.
north side westbound. About 3 feet into the road, it's just really crumbling
Yep,
bad.
the shoulders.
Very bad.
Yep.
I didn't know if anybody or who sees that or who drove around and checked, but that's,
We did talk about that, and depending on how prices come back, we could add that in. Typically, we get a better deal if we do a whole block in longer stretches, rather than coming in and doing patches, because then that just
don't count to 16.
more moving around. And that may be possible to do all the way from 10th to 16th if,
With all the school traffic and stuff, I mean, it gets a lot of traffic.
yeah, and Lowell's brought that up.
So is the reason why we're not doing the same process as we did 66 heights?
Yeah, so the UBAS is great. I think everybody, I've heard tons of good things about it. And from my, talking to the guys that do the UBAS, if the base is too far gone, they don't recommend putting that on top. So the idea being, and when we go through the budget process here in a few months, I'm gonna ask for more money to get, yeah, to keep, just to keep up on these roads so that we could do the UBAS more often. Go in, it's fast, it's considerably cheaper. But if we wait too long and the road gets
Right.
too far gone, then we gotta take a bigger bite.
So depending on the estimates that come in for this Grant Street crossing, since that's in package B, if we don't
Yep.
do that, will that affect whether or not Union Pacific fixes the crossing?
Good question. We'll have that discussion with them, I guess, if that happens. I personally, I don't know what Lowell thinks, I don't want to speak for Lowell, I don't think our street is that bad. It seems to be more the panels in between the tracks are where the issue's at.
Is the crossing on 91 considered Blair, or is that Washington County?
I believe that's within the city limits.
Is that, they've closed that for 20 years and tried fixing it, and it's still one of the
Yep.
worst crossings.
It gets a lot of
in the
heavy truck
state.
traffic. And it's at that
Terrible.
kind of weird angle. But that's something we can take a look at. We can push on the railroad again.
Any other questions for Mr. Heaton?
No.
Thank you. Any comments from the public?
Just write that in.
Come sit right here.
Transportation Committee.
Yeah, we met on this, talked to CJ, obviously we've got some money left over in the budget, so, working with city staff, Lowell identified a kind of a priority list of things that, they wanted to address, and so that's what they presented, so. If there's no questions, I'll introduce resolution 2026-53.
Resolution number 2026-53 was introduced by Councilmember Letcher, approving the plans and specification for the 2026 mill and overlay project and authorizing staff to solicit bids.
Yeah, motion to adopt resolution 2026-53 is presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 2026-53. Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes. Item number 14, resolution number 2026-54, approving the plans and specifications for the Highway 75 pump station project and authorizing staff to solicit bids. Mr. Heaton.
Thank you again, Mayor. So as council remembers, the Highway 75 pump station is kind of the second phase, along with the Blackout pump station being the first phase, and then the water tower being the third phase of kind of doing our expansion project with the rural water district. So this is just authorizing staff to post this for bids. If approved, our plan is to get it out on our Beacon website by the end of the week. Give it a few weeks, it'll get sent out to all the registered contractors. And HDR will also help promote this through their channels or they advertise their bids on. I believe in your packets are all the construction documents in the engineer's opinion of cost, which right now is $2.7 million in a little change. As we saw with the Blackout project, it came back $400 and some thousand below estimate. So hopefully we see the similar results with this project. once we get this going, it'll be again similar to Black Elk where there's not gonna be a lot of work noticed up front. This pump station is a prefab building that gets built, I believe, in South Dakota. Comes in, it gets put in towards the end of the project. So I think it's about a year timeline to get that thing built to our specs and brought down here. So even if this gets approved and we get bids back and we authorize a bid in the next couple months, it'll be, I'm guessing, close to a year before we see substantial work getting done on this. So, and then I just put a note on here that we have funding lined up through the State Revolving Loan Fund at 1.5% interest. And then the Black Elk project is also tied to that loan. So, pretty good rates on that. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any comments from the public?
Jenny Erickson. I just had a question because we were the low bidder on the Black Elk project a handful of months ago, and that still has not moved forward because of waiting on funding. And so I would ask on this, it creates problems in the contractor's world when you go out and you get bids and then you can't start for 4, 5, 6 months because your subcontractors and your suppliers don't hold their pricing. So I was just going to say to council, I don't know where that funding is at, but from a contractor perspective, I would recommend not putting these out to bid until the financing is in place, because what's going to happen is, I don't remember, when did Black Elk bid? Was it September's coming to my mind. Was it not that long? Okay, it was, so when you're waiting, I think it may be January, I can't remember. No, we've been waiting since early March. I'm gonna say, it was a while ago, it's been a few months, because we were waiting to get the audit back in April, and that was, we were talking about it in March. So I was just gonna say, before putting it out to bid, making sure the financing is in place, because what happens is when Black Elk does go now, if we're 3 months later, we're gonna go back to subs and suppliers, and they're gonna be like, that was 3, 4 months ago, our prices have changed. So it makes a lot of sense to get the funding in order first, just from a city perspective and getting competitive bids and people wanting to bid you versus having outside companies come in and be like, is it really happening, is it not? They don't want to, contractors don't like to get put in that situation to have to go back to the city and ask for a change order before the project even starts. So just saying, if it's all tied together, maybe making sure the funding's ready to go before we put this one out to bid.
Makes sense. Well,
Staff,
thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, what Jenny's talking about is the SRF loan is, all the documents are drafted, ready to go. The bond attorney is waiting for the audit results to be brought in, and I don't know if David has an idea when we're expecting that, but until he gets the audit to review it, he has not basically signed off on approving that loan yet. So that's where we're at right now.
So is this a catch-21, or can we do what Jenny's asking?
We could postpone this if you wanted to wait,
Catch-22.
Yeah.
something like that.
I read the book, it was a long time ago.
We knew what you,
Yeah, I knew what you were talking about.
Fahrenheit.
Inflation.
21
we know what you
21's
meant.
similar, but it's not quite all the way.
all right, it's not gonna hurt to postpone this.
No, sir.
Okay.
Table.
All right. Would you like to put that in the form of a motion?
It is, yeah, so moved.
Second.
I like to make a motion to postpone agenda item number 14.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to postpone resolution number 2026-54. Please register your vote.
Thank you again, Ms. Erickson, for the insight on that.
Council members present voting aye.
Motion to postpone passes. Item number 15, consider resolution 2026-55 for the installation of stop signs at 13th and Park, making it a 4-way stop. Mr. Heaton. You are.
Thank you, Mayor. I think I got a picture. Thank you. So this was, I believe, a citizen request through Councilmember Willis. Councilmember Willis approached me about doing a traffic study, specifically on 12th and Park. with concerns about high speeds in the area, specifically on Park Street. So Tom, if council remembers, back last fall, we approved purchase of two, they're called MioVision cameras, kind of use AI to count cars and traffic. Tom White, our IT director, has been a great help in getting those things up and running. Tom was able to set these up, and I believe his whole report is in your packets. Set them up over a few days. Had 635 vehicles go through the intersection. The fastest going for almost 42 miles an hour on a 25-mile-an-hour street. So the request was to put a stop sign in at 12th and Park. And we talked with the Transportation Committee a little bit about this at one of our meetings. And the recommendation at the time, and staff's recommendation, was to put the stop sign at 13th and Park near North School, which would mirror Jackson Street a block to the north, with the stop sign at 13th and Jackson. So 13th and Jackson, 13th and Park would both be a four-way stop. That puts the stop on Jackson and Park. You have 3 blocks from 10th to 13th, 3 blocks from 13th to 16th. There's a stop sign. It mirrors. I'm open to council's suggestion or public comment. If everybody feels it'd be better at 12th Street, we can put it at 12th Street. But those are the reasons, I guess, why I'm recommending 13th Street. Any questions?
I like the 13th right by the school. I mean, that brings people to a stop by the school, so.
Anything else?
Thank you. Any comments from the public?
Bob Fromm, 1133 Park Street. I was the one that asked to go ahead and do a study on the traffic and the speeds on Park Street. And the reason being, I've lived in that same house for 48 years, and I've seen a lot of speeders going up and down that street. I've seen cats get run over and killed. I've seen dogs get run over and killed, and I've also seen a little kid just 2 houses down from me get hit. He didn't get seriously hurt, but needless to say, he still got hit. And the reason I'm asking for 12th Street, and I appreciate the study and the possibility of a stop sign anywhere on that street to slow the traffic down. But between 12th Street and 10th Street, there are 10 little kids that live along those 2 blocks. We need something to slow the traffic down. And then you also get you got the kids from 12th Street, then they start dispersing out into the neighborhoods there. But from 10th Street to 12th Street, the kids coming from school, the non-drivers, they're on these little electric scooters or little electric bicycles, and they're flying up and down the street, and I've seen them pull right out in front of cars. I had one pull out in front of me over on Nebraska Street. They don't look. We need to do something to slow the traffic down. Now, the uniformity there that you're talking about at 13th Street, in this case here, I think practicality outweighs uniformity because of the fact of the kids there. Now, there is no school at North School. It's the admin building. But we've seen, they line the cars up there to pick them up at at Arbor. And then when they do that, they come across that intersection. So if you put a sign there at 13th and Park, and they're parked there waiting to get in line to go up to Arbor. I don't know why they line them up there and then they let them go in segments to go up there. And then if there's any kind of activities, which there is because of the simulators that are there at North School for the kids that are going in practicing baseball or golf before they can get on the course, or weather not permitting, well then they park along that street there too. And if they're parked there on 13th Street, on Park Street leading up to 13th, you're not going to be able to see a stop sign sitting there. And in the study that Mr. Heaton was talking about, of the cars that are going up and down the street there, over 60% of them were speeding, okay? And that was mostly the eastbound traffic. And the reason that they're not speeding as much on westbound is because the cars can park on the north side of Park Street. So they've got to stop, let the traffic by, and then get out and go around them again. So that's why the study showed it, a lot more of them eastbound speeding instead of westbound. But just because of the fact that if you put it at 13th, and I, I don't want to get on my soapbox by all means, but if you put it at 13th Street and the kids coming, and not just kids, let me rephrase that, the people coming from the high school going west, okay, they've got 3 blocks before they get to the stop sign from 10th Street down. So they've got, in a sense, 2.5 blocks to go ahead and say, I don't care what the speed limit is, whether it's going east and west. You put it there on 13th, they stop at 13th Street when they're going east to the school, then they got 3 blocks then to go ahead and get on it and go again. And the study of the 600 and some vehicles, that was done for 2 days, and that was just school traffic and local traffic. Look at what it's at when they got activities going on at the school, whether it be football games, softball games, any of that going on up there. The traffic count just increases. So, like I said earlier, I appreciate the fact that they're considering it, because I brought it to the council and probably 15 years ago in mentioning getting something done. And then I'm appreciative that you're thinking about it again this one. I just hope that you consider 12th Street over 13th Street, because just because of the little kids. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the public? Council?
Mr. Heaton, is it possible, I forget exactly what the formal name was, for the things we installed recently on 16th Street to kind of make people more aware of
The bollards?
calming devices. Is it possible we could see maybe the integration of some of those calming devices either on 12th or 13th Street?
Yeah,
Those
whatever the
intersections.
council would like to do, we could look at doing. I know strong towns.
Crosswalks there, though? I mean, that's the thing, is there a crosswalk there? You're not gonna pull.
Picture back up, Aaron.
Appears there's a sign underneath the crosswalk for 12th Street.
Lowell, do you know off the top of your head, is there?
There is school crossings there.
Yeah. Looks like there's a crossing sign.
Well, and on the next street as well, to the east, there's one, it appears.
That's a pre-warning for the crossing ahead.
Oh, that's okay.
Yep. I think we're okay. But yeah, we could certainly do bollards, likely one of the next 1 or 2 meetings. We've been working with some suggestions from strong towns on possibly doing like elevated crosswalks and different things, so I'm open to suggestions.
Is there speed signs there now? I can't think of what they would have there, but.
The picture you're looking at is, I pulled off our sign inventory GIS layer, and I don't see any speed limit signs on this picture. What we found is, it's state statute that all residential streets are 25 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a given. There are places that we've noticed issues, so we put some speed
Put
limit
more
signs
signs
in,
up, yeah.
which we could do that too.
That'd be a good start anyway, maybe. Geez, nuts go down with that in that neighborhood.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it, the Transportation Committee, but I think maybe we should spend some more time, just because, Bob, Mr. Fromm makes some good points. I travel Park Street every day, drop the kids off. I do see speed, I probably do it myself, to be honest with you. So I think maybe we should
have you on tape.
Table a little bit.
That constitute a legal confession?
Is that a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to postpone
To the next meeting?
to the next meeting.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to postpone Resolution 2026-55 to the next meeting.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion is postponed. Item number Number 16, consider resolution 2026-56 for the installation of a stop sign on the alley between Washington and Lincoln Streets between 16th and 17th Street. Mr. Heaton.
Last time, I promise. I think I should have a picture there, Aaron. All right, so I believe I checked my notes, it was probably back February, I think we talked about the idea of putting stop signs and traffic control at the exits of all the alleys in the downtown. After visiting with the Transportation Committee again a few weeks ago, we decided, I guess, to kind of give this a trial run. And the suggestion, I used the same map, but what we're asking for right now is to try one kind of on the alley, the east end or the west end of the alley between Washington and Lincoln and 16th and 17th Street. It's right.
Don't you have to stop legally when you come off of a street like that onto another street?
There's no sign saying that
There's
you
no
have to.
signage.
Chief?
There's nothing posted.
Nothing.
It's best practice, but it's not happening.
Common sense.
Should.
Cross your fingers.
Why do we need to test drive this then?
That's up to
Short
the
of
council.
signs?
Are we, sorry, I didn't hear.
Are we short of signs?
We're not, yeah.
Well, I think the original,
It's more for pedestrian protection, because it's a blind, you don't see.
that one's particularly bad.
I stop all the time. I just assumed you had to, because you sort
You have
of.
common sense.
That constituted a blind four-way intersection, so.
You have to yield right away if there's nothing marked.
And this was brought up from a citizen complaint. You got the bakery there, restaurants, there's kids running in and out.
The one up.
So why stop?
Well, I think Councilmember Heifel, the reason it was postponed is because originally we were talking about putting stop signs at all the alley intersections.
That's what I'm saying.
And some of them don't necessarily merit that. This one is a blind intersection.
Correct.
But like if you continue going to the west, another block, right there by Butch's, there's really not a place for a sign,
Yeah.
because it's not a corner,
Correct.
there's parking, and then you can see easily. So I don't know if every single one of these needs a stop sign. I think they were going to discuss it, so they were gonna try this one here and see how it works. But that's something for Transportation Committee is to discuss and decide where exactly all those intersections it should be posted. But this one for sure. It is my backyard. And I wasn't the citizen, but I did have a citizen come up to me, and there was a near miss with a pedestrian and a semi, a delivery truck.
Don't see.
And they're so big, they don't see. And so now we're gonna make sure they stop. But, so this one is just for this stop sign.
And there might be an example of the Safe Streets group looking
Correct.
at doing markings on the sidewalk. Hey, there's cars coming out of here because of the pizza place and who knows what else there. Until Fastwire employees and what, it might behoove them to put some cross
Correct, they
hashes
could look at all of those.
on the sidewalk and stuff, just to keep things safe. But yes, it is a bad intersection there. So. It'd be worth it. It might save a life.
Any other questions for Mr. Heaton?
Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments from the public? Having none?
I'll introduce resolution 2026-56.
Second.
Wait.
No, I'm just introducing.
He's just introducing.
In a hurry.
I'm really on to this one.
For the installation of a stop sign on the alley between Washington and Lincoln Streets between 16th and 17th.
Motion to adopt resolution 2026-56 as presented.
Second it.
Good job. All right, John.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 2026-56. Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes. Item number 17, introduction and official reveal of the City of Blair website chatbot name.
That's what y'all been waiting for tonight, folks.
Drum roll.
Are the polls officially closed?
Exactly.
Mr. Dunn.
Sorry, Jacob Dunn, Public Safety and Communications Coordinator. Shout out to Councilman Ledger for coming up with this idea. So piggybacking off of the snowplow naming contest, as we're all aware, we talked about, we're making the change to a new chatbot. The top 10 were all by public entry. These are the top 10 names that were out there. Public all voted on that. There you go. Reminders, just point out that we do have a current chatbot. It's out there right now, the City Info Cub. It's with Phrase. We've had some issues with Phrase, so we're replacing it with the City Bot. So we currently have one. When the name gets announced here in a second, it will not change. The change implementation probably late summer, early fall, when we officially make the switch to City Bot. So with that being said, drum roll please, the election results are in. And our new one's gonna be called Bear Bot with 27 votes. That was submitted by Brett Brown. Shot him an email earlier today. He was aware of it, and he will get a shout out on social media. But as you can see, there was a lot of votes, and that's the winner.
All right, very good. Thank you.
Mayor Bob.
Mr. Green.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Just a couple things real quick. 2 weeks from Memorial Day weekend. And so final preparations are being made. Pool filling is later this week, we anticipate, right? Yep, over this weekend, and then getting all the chemicals set properly for opening day. Cemetery preparations are underway to make sure it's all spiffed up and ready to go for all of the celebrations that will be going on for there. Just a reminder to you that the budget workshop is coming up on Tuesday, June 30th. So that's our next 5th Tuesday. That's a month earlier than normal, so staff is scrambling to get all their work done on time. But coming up on June 30th, and so obviously the public is invited to that if they want to come learn more about budgets. And all I can say is happy Election Day. Some of you are interested in getting out of here and going to check on things and celebrate. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, I'd like to propose a motion to adjourn this meeting of the Blair City Council.
I'll second that one.
All right, we have a motion, a second to adjourn. Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Meeting adjourned.